What's going on, guys? In this video, we're going to be discussing an all-time great summer freshie that's been heavily, and I mean heavily, replicated over the years. It's one of the most well-known fresh green smelling slash blue aquatic type fragrances ever created, and it's early 2000s in a bottle, in my opinion. We're talking about Ralph Lauren Polo Blue, the original eau de toilette. So stay tuned. So in regards to this scent, it's an iconic smell for sure. I'm going to go ahead and give myself a quick spray on the hand. Been wearing this one sporadically over the last several days. This is a rebuy. I used to have a gift set many years ago, and one that I didn't rebuy for a long time because I had so many fragrances, and still do, multiple fragrances that smell like it. Now, none of them are identical, but for the most part, your CK Eternity Aquas, more recently Maritime Deep Blue from Tommy Bahama, and so on. They have that fresh green, almost spicy and aquatic smell to them. So here in the notes, it's iconically known for this cucumber note that's in the top. It's cucumber, mandarin orange, and melon in the top, according to Parfumo. And you do get all of that, that fresh, watery, watermelon type of smell. That cucumber adds this crisp, juicy freshness to this fragrance. It's not heavily citrused as much as it is more of a watery top note. And then the basil, sage, and geranium in the base definitely play a part early on. You get a little bit of mintiness from this geranium, though not heavy. It's not a very minty fragrance, but it kind of freshens up the green aspects of the basil to where it's not warm and too herbal spicy. It's more of fresh green spicy than anything else. Just lovely. And I get the suede almost from the very beginning of this. The woods and the musk kind of come in later in the latter portion of the lifespan of the fragrance. And the suede, like I said, I get a little taste of it in the top, and it just gets stronger as it starts to dry and settle in. It's a very buttery suede. It's got a little bit of a rough and tumble quality to it, but it's more of a soft leather feel than anything else. It's not animalic, like I said, not really rough and tumble. Doesn't have much of an edge, but it definitely provides a bit of character to what would be a very basic aquatic fresh fragrance at the top, because like I said, this is the smell of the early 2000s. This came out in 2002. I was 17 when this bottle came out. Not this specific bottle, but this fragrance came out when I was 17. And it definitely reminds me of my late teens, early 20s, because like I said, I had a 4.2 ounce bottle and a 1.4 ounce bottle gift set. I want to say when I was 19, I had got it. Yeah, I want to say right around when I was 19 was when I got it. It had been out for about 2 years roughly. And yeah, everybody was wearing this, and it spawned a ton of great flankers that stay true to this DNA. You smell Polo Blue in every Polo Blue flanker, basically. They take the DNA and they twist it and change performance and so on. But the scent on this is iconic. It's like I said, so replicated. There's so many fragrances out there that borrow the Polo Blue DNA. But at the end of the day, Polo Blue is Polo Blue. Now, in regards to performance, this is where it loses some popularity. It's more of a nostalgia pick for a lot of people, guys my age these days, are all that's going to really go back to this, because performance is not its strong suit. I actually get what technically could be considered on the stronger side of performance for what most people report. I get in the 3 to 4 hours on my range on my skin, which is below average. It is on the weaker side, but there's people that complain about, the infamous 20, 30 minutes comment that people like to throw out there about fragrances. And I'm not saying you guys are lying. I'm just saying it's hard for me to believe that. But in the hour to 2 hour range, that's a lot more believable. I know a lot of people that 2 hours is kind of like pushing it for them on their skin. And it's just one of those things where it's a skin chemistry thing. It was never a strong fragrance. That's not what this scent profile is about. It's super fresh and inviting. It's very loud projection in the first 30 to 45 minutes. It mainly in the first hour. It's very noticeable, very pronounced. It's bright and airy, it's super fresh, and it's extremely attractive. This is a fragrance that is known to draw people in. This is an all-time great compliment getter. It really is. It's one of the best DNAs ever made to really attract those around you to pull in the nice, ooh, you smell nice. And it's very familiar. Just like Aqua de Jo is a very familiar scent DNA. When I sprayed this one as soon as I got the bottle in, I let my wife smell it. She's like, that's familiar. I know that fragrance. And I let her know. She's like, oh, that's what it is. Yeah, it's a very familiar scent profile because it's been done to death as far as replication. But performance here, nothing special. Clearly nothing special. And it's not one that I'm going to recommend anybody run out and get, because unless it's a nostalgia play for you, because there's better versions of it at this point. As far as performance, your Polo Deep Blue Parfum, for example, is a great performer. Polo Blue Parfum, the newest flanker in 2022, is a nice, rich, warm, smooth, polished version of this that lasts a really long time, just not a loud fragrance. This projects much better than the newest version. Polo Deep Blue Parfum kind of falls somewhere in between. Polo Blue EDP just smells like a more dense and polished version of this exact scent profile. Lasts a bit longer, more of a 6-hour fragrance, whereas this is 3 to 4 hours on my skin. And then Gold Blend, I admittedly haven't spent time with on skin yet, but I know it's a smokier take. I have smelled it, but it's just, performance is nothing special here. As long as you're okay with reapplying it, it's great. And like I said, for me, 3 to 4 hours, it's not something I have to keep going back to. I'm just going to refresh once in my day, and I'll be fine, unless I'm wearing it to the gym during the day and then again out the shower. Then I'd be reapplying it multiple times. But if this is just going to be like, say, your work scent, you might only need to reapply once just to get through your work day, depending on the length of time you spend at work. Not everybody works 8 hours. Some people work 10, 12 hours. So it all depends. It's very situational, but you won't know exactly how it performs on your skin unless you spray it on your skin. And it's pretty easy to get a bottle these days. This is a tester bottle, came in a white tester box. And I want to say I paid 40 some odd, maybe $50, kind of going rate for it. And some people may deem that's too much for the weak performance, but you don't buy fragrances like this looking for performance. You buy fragrances like this for the experience and the scent, because it is an original scent profile that was then replicated heavily. Yeah, there's a ton of stuff that smell like it now, but and that perform a lot better, being we're talking performance currently, but there's no replacing it. It's, like I said, not one I can recommend if you're looking for a strong fragrance that's going to, give you 6 to 8 hours, 10 hours of life and be really loud beyond an hour. Because after that hour, it's sitting really close to the skin. It is. So the sillage in here is definitely on the mild side. You'd have to pass really close to somebody for them to smell you after about an hour. It becomes more of a personal scent. It really does. So if you don't like weaker performance, you won't like this. Final thoughts on Polo Blue EDT. It's an all-time great. I love it. I'm glad to add it back to my collection. It's one that I'm sporadically spending time with, and it's so good. I forgot I got it on my hand, actually. I love the way this smells. This is one of the best fragrance scent profiles of all time. That's why it's so heavily replicated and duplicated and copied and twisted and tweaked and all these different things, because it just smells so damn good. But because of the performance issues and there being so many better versions of it now, even though I still believe this is the best smelling one in the line, is the original, I gotta say it's just better than good for the most part. It's a 6 out of 10 fragrance. It's not bad. It's not even average. It's not just good. It's better than good, because I love the way this smells. 6 out of 10, not a terrible rating. Just, it doesn't warrant anything better because of not necessarily the performance issues, because like I said, it's always been like a 3 to 4 hour fragrance on my skin. That's not a surprise. I knew what I was rebuying. Like I said, I spent many wearings with it over the years in the past, and like I said, it was pretty much the same then, even before the Eau de Parfum came out, before Polo Blue Sport and all these different flankers that started to emerge as time went on. It's a 6 out of 10 fragrance for all of the reasons you would think. So for some people, because they're so hardcore into, a fragrance has to last forever and ever, or that it's not worth their money, it might be a 2 out of 10 for you guys. But for me personally, it's iconic. It's reminds me of a very specific time in my youth, And for that, like I said, it's better than good. It's 6 out of 10. Well, that's my thoughts and feelings on the original Polo Blue EDT from Ralph Lauren. And until next time, do me a real quick favor. Go ahead and like, comment, subscribe. So I do appreciate all the feedback. And I love hearing from you guys. How many of you still have a bottle of this? How many of you still wear and enjoy the original Polo Blue? Because it's great. It's a great fragrance. I mean, if it was a 6 to 8 hour fragrance, it would probably be an 8 out of 10 in my rating system, you know. There's ways to get that performance. Polo Blue EDP, though not as loud of a fragrance, I get more in that 6 hour range and longevity. Like I said, Polo Deep Blue Parfum, probably the one I would recommend the most in the line, because it's kind of a cross between this fragrance and Dior Sauvage with some fresh green cypress sprinkled in there. And it's basically the modern blue version of Polo Blue. It's a modern blue fragrance. And it's like a 6 to 8 hour fragrance, like I was saying, in longevity. Projection's pretty solid. It gets attention. And it's about the same price. I saw it at Nordstrom Rack for $52 or $54 for a 4.2 ounce bottle. So about the same price as you can get this for. That's the better fragrance to get. It really is. This is just a nostalgia pick for me personally. It's not something that I'll wholeheartedly say you should definitely go get your nose on this one. If you've never smelled it before, yeah, it's a good olfactive experience to have, to understand where men's fragrances were at that time frame, just like with Aqua de Jo and CK1 and Tommy by Tommy Hilfiger were to the 90s. That's what this was to the turn of the century in the early 2000s. It came out in 2002. And until next time, I will say, if you get your hands on Polo Blue EDT and you give it a spray now, you never know. You might end up thanking me later. Have a good one, guys.